I'm really, really excited to be included in this. My name is Jessica O. Matthews, and I'll be providing the welcome remarks for this event. And thank you, of course, I think to all of you for coming here January 3rd in the rain. This is definitely an exciting moment for me, and I'm sure, again, congratulations to Senator Rollison, to Mayor-elect Nelson. It's an exciting moment for the city of Poughkeepsie. But I think, in this kind of time and thinking about what this year will be, I spent a little bit of time thinking about Mayor-elect Nelson and kind of wondering, okay, well, what do we think we're going to expect this year? And, if he has a motto, I don't know if you have a motto, but I was like, if he had a motto, I think it would be something like GSD, get stuff done. Right? It would be like GSD, because he likes Broadway, he likes the show, right? So it would be GSD. And it's funny, and let's just all be honest here, I have to also introduce the Reverend, so I don't actually think it would be stuff that he'd be saying. Let's just be fair, but GSD, get stuff done, stuff. Of course, I understand where we are. And so, what does that mean, right? You have to think about the impact of being in local politics. And you have to understand, I knew nothing about politics before I started working with the city of Poughkeepsie. I knew nothing about really how local municipalities have to work to make the lives of real people better. I've heard all these different stories, and because of our work in Poughkeepsie, we've been able as a technology company to work with several small municipalities around the region, and they all understand impact, they all understand ideas. But when it comes to this idea of innovation, this idea of taking those ideas and making them real and tenaciously driving forward until they're real, that's GSD. That's getting something done. That's something that is a lot more rare than I ever thought it would be. But it's been so exciting to see that. It's been so exciting to work with Mayor-elect Nelson and understand what that looks like here. And I think it goes without saying that we're also very fortunate that Mayor Nelson, at least in my opinion, chooses to use his powers to be a champion for the underdog. Poughkeepsie, his work in Kingston, it's been really cool, to be honest, just really cool to see how you get excited when there's an opportunity, when there's a problem to solve, and not something that would make you want to run away. And so again, I think for me, I can only speak from my personal experience over the last several years. And we also have recognized, I think at Uncharted, that what Mayor Nelson does so well is see a vision for a community, see a vision for people that sometimes is bigger than what they even have for themselves. I'll give you an example for Uncharted and the work that we've been doing. If you go back to 2020, the pandemic, we were a technology company in 2019 that had projects in Connecticut, that had projects at Disney World Resort, that had millions of dollars of opportunities around the country to deploy physical infrastructure. And once the pandemic hit, we lost every single one of those projects. And we had to sit there and actually ask ourselves, okay, well, is this going to be our last story? Is this going to be the nail in the coffin? Or can we find one partner, one place that might understand what we can do, that might understand the possibility of where we can build from, that might not only understand this kind of David and Goliath story, but be attracted to it, but actually say, no, I think it can be even more than what you might expect. And so we thought, okay, well, there are a couple of things that we think we could do. we really came together as a team and realized that there were several technologies, there were a suite of technologies that we truly believed could help municipalities, help them develop infrastructure that they need, bridge capacity gaps. And we just needed someone to believe. And so I remember us talking to all the different people in the city of Poughkeepsie and meeting City Administrator Nelson at the time, and he got it. He understood the big picture. He understood that not only could we help a homegrown technology company like Uncharted, but that we could also show the world that Poughkeepsie is a place that's a haven for innovation. That Poughkeepsie is the place, again, that may not be the Goliaths that you hear about all of the time, but is the David that's going to be the actual protagonist of the story. And I remember, again, the most GSD thing that I ever remember happening that changed, like, I just was like, whoa, this is gonna be a wild ride, was I think we were going back and forth trying to figure all the terms and all the details on how to actually get the license, to actually do a pilot, to demonstrate all the technologies that we thought could be relevant. And it was taking just a little bit of time. And I remember he calls me in to his office, and he's like, what's going on? I was like, oh, I don't know, we're doing this. He's like, no, don't like it. Calls every single person that's relevant to the project into the room. Doesn't lock the door, but almost basically locks the door. And says, no one's leaving until this gets done. And it got done. Like, that's the kind of man, that's the kind of leadership, that's the kind of government that he stands for. Yes. And so what does that mean for a small tech company that saw their lives kind of flash before their eyes during the pandemic? It meant that we were able to go through with a pilot that got so much excitement, national excitement, featured and highlighted in CBS, Bloomberg, New York Times, that we were able to take the results of that pilot and build our Google for Infrastructure platform now that's being considered on the federal level to support municipalities across the country and helping them use all of the infrastructure funding that's coming and make sure that they can get the most out of it and make sure that they're able to bridge those capacity gaps. We're actually able to take this idea and make it a reality at scale because we were able to build it here in Poughkeepsie, because we were able to get stuff done with his leadership. And yes, Poughkeepsie also officially on the national map, on the national stage, not only getting highlighted in all of these media outlets for their leadership and actually taking a chance on this small tech company, but actually getting the opportunity to represent all municipalities on the federal stage when it comes to thinking about how new technologies like the Uncharted platform could be used at scale. Again, all because we got stuff done. We were able to get licenses and programs put out into the world during a time when massive Fortune 100 companies were just going back and forth and talking. So what's this next year? What does this world look like now? I don't know, but I'm so excited. I'm well rested because I know, Mark, you like to work, and GSD, and I hope you're all ready for some GSD. But that's exactly what we need. In this world of uncertainty, in this world of inequity, in this world where it often feels like there's so little we can control, it has been an honor to see just how much power we can have in our own community and to see what's possible when you lead in everything that you do and everything that you say. So while you will be dearly, dearly missed, Senator Rolson, there really could not have been a single person better to leave your city to. And so, So with that, I'm very happy that I did not curse once during this. That was one of the things that I wanted to make sure. Like, listen, it's a Tuesday, or it was a Friday, I can't no promises. But with that, I am very honored to introduce Reverend Susan.
Thank you. I've had the opportunity and the honor to serve with Marc Nelson over the past year on the Duchess Poughkeepsie Land Bank, and I want you to know how honored I am to be able to offer this invocation. God of many names and God of many faiths, send down upon Marc, the next mayor of the city of Poughkeepsie, the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose he may faithfully serve in this office, and so move every leader in this community, that barriers which divide us may crumble, suspicions disappear, and hatred cease, that our divisions being healed, we may live in justice, peace, and prosperity. Give Marc clarity of thought, compassion for those in need, strength for those who need a champion, and patience to work with others to achieve these things. We ask all this in the name of God, who creates us, sustains us, and redeems our every effort. Amen. And now it is my great honor to introduce the only Republican I've ever voted for. True fact, Senator Rollison.
I want to call one.
And that is a true fact. Jessica, I was really excited to hear when Marc told me that you would be giving the opening remarks. And Marc, I'm really thankful to you, because I kind of lost the thing with Jessica after the soccer balls and the sidewalk. And internally, we know what that means. And I remember walking into that office that day. I didn't even know you were on the 3rd floor. You were in that meeting. Marc had the team in there. And then you came in and said, this is what we're doing. We're getting it done. And Marc was getting it done. And that's what Marc Nelson is all about. I'm going to be brief, because there are lots of great things and accomplishments and things that Marc has done with the rest of this great team in city government, but we don't have time to go through all of them. But I think it's good to know how Marc came to the city of Poughkeepsie. And after getting elected mayor in 2016, with a gracious grant from the Dyson Foundation, we embarked on a national search for a finance commissioner and a city administrator. And we interviewed lots of people from literally all over the country. And when we interviewed Marc, and I had a transition team both on the fiscal side and the administrative side. And when it came to Marc coming in, we knew he was from the city of Hartford, and tax collector and resume extraordinaire, arts guy, you know, Renaissance man. But when he came in, it was the personality immediately that everyone was drawn to. It wasn't even really about the resume at that point. It was like, this is a good guy. He's a communicator. And he was genuinely excited about the prospect of being the finance commissioner. And so, boom, we hired him. And as you know, the finances of the city of Poughkeepsie were struggling, to say the least, when we all came into office in 2016. And Marc immediately went to work on that, building up the team, encouraging the team down on the 1st floor, because obviously, if we didn't have our fiscal house in order, or at least at that point we're moving in the right direction, we weren't going to be able to accomplish all the other things that we needed to do, that a city administrator and a mayor and department heads would have to go out and do that job for the city. All starts with the finances. So there came an opportunity when the city administrator that we hired went to the village of Ossining for the village administrator's position. And I didn't need to ask anybody, and I know I did, but that was going to be Marc Nelson's job. There was just no doubt Marc was ready for it. He was kind of doing it as a finance commissioner and an administrator. And so I asked him if he would be the city administrator, and he said yes. Then I find out that that was the job that he wanted all along. Legit. And what had happened was the search firm saw Marc's resume and background and said, hey, you ought to apply for the finance commissioner's job. So he was where he wanted to be all along. But what he had learned along the way as the finance commissioner and knowing all the individuals in the organization, he was able to step into that role just seamlessly. And all the things that have happened after that have just been because that's who you are. And Marc, as we knew after the election day that I was going to be going to Albany, and I'm going tonight with Lori to get sworn in tomorrow.
Okay.
So you and John Penny, our communications director, started to put things together that maybe I would be able to say at the last meeting of the year, and it was pages and pages of accomplishments. And I didn't read them at the council meeting. Just didn't think it was appropriate at the time. And I looked at all these accomplishments, and there's a lot more that on those 10 or 12 pieces of paper. Every single one you had something to do with. Whether you were the finance commissioner or the city administrator or just someone who had the vision to help this city along. And I'm going to end with this. Marc has always helped write the State of the City address, and he loves to do it, and I'm glad that he does. And I think it was in 2019 or 2020, I know we get our years a little mixed up, but we came up with that line. You came up with the line. Imagine if we hadn't have done that. Talking about things that we did, that if we didn't do, then we might not have got to the next step, right? So I look back, and I was thinking about this driving up here tonight with Lori. Imagine if we hadn't hired you. Oh. Yeah, we could clap for that, please. And just how, the organization has changed so dramatically because of your leadership, your steady hand. And I can tell you that Marc and I, it was not and was never like, okay, we're all good. He and I had some very spirited discussions on lots of things because we're both spirited individuals. And always came to a place where he felt good, I felt good, the organization was going to feel good, because ultimately that's what we were doing. We were doing something that the organization would probably have to, carry out. This has been very difficult times in government. We've been through a lot together as a community, but we've gotten through it because this is a very resilient and a very caring community. But you think about all those things to get us where we are today. And Marc, if you had not been the individual that you are, the professional that you are, and will continue to be as our mayor, I dare say I wouldn't be going to Albany tonight. And I thank you for that, because we're proud of what we did in this city with all of our partners, members of the council. I said, and you're going to recognize them, but I see the council chair sitting right there in front, Natasha Brown. We got it done together. And that is something, when I say that this has been the honor of a lifetime for me, it has been. And I am so proud of you, not only as the city administrator and the former finance commissioner, but someone, along with your wife, who are very dear friends to Lori and I, and we really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Let's give one more round of applause. Yep. So, obviously, the most important part now takes place. It is my honor to call up to the podium a friend of mine, and we were talking a little while ago. County Court Judge Ned McLaughlin, who was right here. We have been friends for over 40 years before he was admitted to the bar. Ned's career in the district attorney's office as a prosecutor, bureau chief, and now county court judge is along the same lines as you, Mark. Someone who was dedicated to his community, to his family, and to his friends. And he, before you stand up, he will bring you up because he has a few things that he would like to say to just put some things in his historical reference for this area called the city of Poughkeepsie. Ladies and gentlemen, Judge Ned McLaughlin.
Senator didn't mention that we met when I was 5. So I'm really honored to be here. I so appreciate it. There's a couple things you do as a Supreme Court judge that are wonderful. This and swearing in new citizens is really the highest point of what we do, along with the other important work. So I just wanted to mention, I was thinking about coming here tonight, and I grew up 3 blocks from here with my 7 brothers and sisters, and I went to grade school 1 block away from here at St. Mary's, Poughkeepsie. I worked at the courthouse for 30 years, in one capacity or another, and I worked in this building for 10 years, this building. So, and I'm not going to mention what kind of disco it was. You all know who you were. You did so mean to go there. Anyway, so I consider myself not from Poughkeepsie. I consider myself of Poughkeepsie, and there's a difference. And the reason I point that out is I witnessed right here, spent my entire life really, the amazing renaissance that has gone on in this city. I knew it when, it was always good people, but we had our troubles. But it bears almost no resemblance to what I've seen over the years. And I guess I just say that for my part, my hope and my prayers are that continues and the progress continues. But I, for one, as a native person here, I would tell you that I'm very proud to be here and participate in this. Come on up, Mark.
Amen.
I, Marc Nelson,
I, Marc Nelson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will support the Constitution and laws of the state of New York,
and that I will support the Constitution and laws of the state of New York,
and that I will,
to
the best of my skill and judgment,
the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully, execute the office of Mayor of the City of Poughkeepsie.
execute the office of Mayor of the City of Poughkeepsie.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Very nice.
How do you beat that? Thank you all for coming. And, thank you, Judge. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Susan. And thank you, Jessica, for your remarks tonight. I can't imagine, and I didn't imagine, what a wonderful turnout it would be. And thank you all so very much for coming. It really means so much to me and to my family. I had some prepared remarks, but after Rob speaks, you know, I've learned just throw mine out because you can't follow Rod Rollison with any chance at all. But just a couple of things before I say what I plan to say. I want to acknowledge some of the folks that are here, and I, you know, forgive me, I know I'll miss some, but I want to thank first our Common Council Chair, Natasha Brown, and our council members almost all of whom are here today with us. And I want to thank, obviously, my friend and mentor, Mayor Rolison, for bringing me to the city of Poughkeepsie. As he said, if he hadn't have done that, we wouldn't all be here tonight to share in the vision that he started and I hope to continue. And I see Legislator Randy Johnson is here and Assemblyman Jacobson is here. And I could probably spend the next 20 minutes acknowledging each and every one of you. I see Brian Doyle in the back, and I could go on forever. But everybody here joins me and my family because they care, you care about the city of Poughkeepsie and where we've been and, more importantly, where we're going. And I owe all of you a debt of gratitude. I want to specifically thank all the city staff and particularly the department heads. I think all of you are here, too many to name. But the fact of the matter is that of the 350 or so city employees, I am only one. And much of what I've done that Rob gave me so much credit for really belongs to all of you. And now that we've heard her, we have to recognize Councilmember Lorraine Johnson as well. And so, thank you for that. While we're on the Common Council, because we are friends and colleagues, I want to just share with you a quick story. We had actually the organizational meeting of the Common Council this afternoon. We thank the council for changing the schedule so as to accommodate this event tonight. You know, we also swore in a new council member, Christopher Grant. Where are you, Christopher? Welcome. Christopher is our new council member from the 6th Ward, who is stepping into Natasha Brown's role as she has been elevated to the role of chair of the Common Council. So one of the many things that happened at that council meeting today was that Councilmember Nathan Shook was voted in as vice chair. Congratulations to him. Councilmember Menace will be remaining a majority leader, and we're also very proud to be working with you, Evan. Thank you so much for coming tonight. So it brings me to just a few words before we can get to some food and drink about what our mission is for the coming year. And it's really a blended mission of continuing what Rob and his team started before I got here and what we've been working on together since 2016. And most of you, if not all of you in the room, know what many of those initiatives have been. You know what the challenges are that we face together. Not just the pandemic, but many other issues and challenges here in the city of Poughkeepsie that we're all working on together in one fashion or another. And I just want to be clear that we are going to continue with all of the things that Rob and his team have done and would do if he was not going to Albany. There are not going to be significant changes to any of the things that are underway. And just to name a few of those, a $6 million parks project is underway and will continue. Under Rob's leadership, the city of Poughkeepsie led the region, if not the state, frankly, on police reform. I want to recognize Chief Pape, and the command staff is here as well, Chief. Well done. What Rob told you was true. There were many times where we had some conversations that, you know, I wouldn't say we disagreed, but, you know, I did like to be out in front of others, and particularly with respect to some of the things that our peer cities have done or are doing. I'm very proud of the fact that the city of Poughkeepsie was the first to embed a mental health professional with our police department, and thank you, Chief Pape, for doing that. I want to thank the mayor for giving me the opportunity back in 2017 to start the city's anti-blight task force, which brought together stakeholders from throughout the city and our housing partners at Habitat for Humanity, and Maureen Lashley is here. Thank you so much for coming, Maureen. Rebuilding Together Duchess and, of course, Hudson River Housing. And, you know, we couldn't have done that without all of those partners sitting at the table. And I want to mention, although she's not here tonight, Councilmember Yvonne Flowers from the 5th Ward, who served with me on the task force. So many of those vacant properties were, and I use the past tense happily, in the 5th Ward. When Rob Rollison took office as mayor of the city of Poughkeepsie, there were over 600 vacant properties in this city. Today, there's under 90, under 100 anyway. And thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Rollison, for the opportunity to lead that effort, which I think has just been an extraordinary boon for the city of Poughkeepsie. Not to say we don't have a lot of work still to do, but we have less to do than we did when we first embarked on this effort back in 2016. You know, we mentioned briefly the pandemic. I also want to share with you something I'm very proud of, and that is that long before Governor Cuomo issued his executive orders, the city of Poughkeepsie under Rob Rollison had already given all of our employees 2 weeks of special leave time to be with their families. And we were already taking steps, financial steps at the city to cut our budget. We knew we were going to be in trouble because of the pandemic. And with the help of our Common Council, we cut $3.6 million from the budget in about 60 days, while people were still trying to figure out what was going on. So, and just one more thing on the pandemic. You know, the mayor mentioned that I like to help draft his State of the City addresses. What he's not telling you is I'm going to hate drafting my own, because I'm going to have to stand up there and deliver it, which I'm a little nervous. But there were a couple of other things in the pandemic that I think really showed who we were as a city, as we came together, all of our employees and stakeholders, to help our friends, our neighbors, and our families throughout the city of Poughkeepsie. And I don't think I've been more proud of anything in my public service career than how the city of Poughkeepsie handled itself and worked with all of us together during the pandemic. So thank you to all the city employees that are here, that worked, and all our essential workers for that period of time. I want to finish just by a couple more words on my mentor and good friend, Rob Rollison. You know, he has, excuse me, I get a little emotional, the political fortitude that really should put him in the next edition of Profiles in Courage, because he takes the steps that the community needs, even when they might not be politically expedient. One example comes to mind of the city of Poughkeepsie consolidating its transit system with Dutchess County. And we were the first in the state and only the second in the country to do that. And I just want to report to you all, as your former finance commissioner, that since he did that, we've probably saved about $7 million for the city of Poughkeepsie. And the bus service is, we believe, much better than it was under city control. So that's just one example. I know we want to get to the food and drink, and I just want to thank you all again for coming. Lastly, in terms of the things that I want to do for my part as mayor for the next year, is I want to rely on each of you for the help that you've all individually promised me. I'm going to hold you to that promise, which many of you know you made just here tonight in this room. And I hope that if I don't have your numbers, you'll give them to me, and that you'll keep your promise to help me when I call you. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much.